Hi, welcome to Don't Forget About Us podcast. My name is Alexander. I am a mentor and member of the Self Advocates of Semiahmoo. We are members of the Self Advocate Leadership Network. I am joined by Michael and Kara from the NIMO BC. Hey, Michael, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Michael McClellan. I am a self-advocate who is in Nanaimo, British Columbia. And I am a person who is got a developmental disability as well as I'm visually impaired. And we always would like to make positive change to be part of the Self-Advocate Leadership Network.
Cool. Kara, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Kara Anderson. I'm a self-advocate. I live in Nanaimo, BC. I have a 20-year-old son who also has a developmental disability. And like Michael, we are in this to make a positive change.
Thank you very much. So I'm Alexander Magnuson. I am a self-advocate as well, and I have autism. So Kara, what do you think about this COVID-19 stuff, and how are you coping with it?
I think the world right now is a little crazy, and I'm coping by obviously staying at home as much as possible, keeping myself busy by playing cards on the computer, knitting, and spending as much time with my boyfriend in our house as we can spend with each other. But it's also a good thing we have more than one floor, so when we start getting on each other's nerves, we can kind of go hide out from each other for a while.
That's awesome. What about you, Michael? How are you coping?
I'm coping, but I must say I miss my sports, and it's been very tough for me because I can't get out as much as I usually do, and not being able to get out as much has been a very difficult thing because I'm one to be always busy doing something at least 5 days a week, and that has really made this more difficult for me to handle. So I'm coping inside. It's, the sports was a big thing, and without sports, it's a little more difficult. Thank goodness there's still TV.
Yeah, I agree with that. I find how I'm coping with it is I'm just like Kara. I'm staying at home a lot. I am playing with my cats. I'm playing a lot more video games. But like you, Michael, I really miss my sports. I miss the gym. I miss being able to sit at a coffee shop. I miss being able to just be normally going out and, going to Metrotown and going just to people watch, where it's very difficult right now. I found this once. I went out today actually, and I was on the bus and I was being very safe, and there was the bus stopped at a stoplight, and then there were some people on the crosswalk, and this one lady went out in the middle of the street to avoid people. Have you guys noticed anything like that, Michael?
It's just different catching a bus. We caught a bus yesterday, and just getting on the back, and that's just so different. And luckily on our way home from the mall, we went to the bank and we went to Walmart, and it's just so different. You're got certain rules, and it's just not fun. And luckily the bus driver we had on the way home, we could just say, hey, can you stop at our stop to let us off, instead of having to push the button, because you don't know who's been touching those buttons.
That's a good point. And I think that also, Kara, sorry, have you noticed anything just strange,
No, I know for me, like if I go outside my neighbor, like even just go outside my front door and say hi to my neighbors, like everybody just ignores you. Like they're in their own little bubble. But yeah, Walmart and the bank was definitely an experience yesterday, because that had been the first time I'd been out since things had really gone into lockdown, and how, I felt like a cattle stuck in a chute being herded.
Right. Yeah, it's strange times out there. Here's another thing is that for the information that people are telling people and reading and stuff, I find it very difficult to understand. And I think that's where plain language is so important. Why do you guys think it's so important to have, especially COVID-19 stuff, in plain language?
The plain language, even just listening to the daily briefings, and that they aren't speaking plain language. They're speaking either government doctor language, and we're going, don't understand. So the plain language, which takes away the focus of people with developmental disabilities who need that understanding of plain language. What are you doing for us? You're saying you can make sure there's support for these people, but what about the support for us that we might need from our home share providers or roommates or our support workers? What about our supports? We need those.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that we can find stuff on the CLBC website and also the Inclusion BC website, as well as People First website, and also the SLN fact sheet too. So there are some avenues out there, which is great. Why do you think it's so important, Kara, for the plain language?
I think the plain language, because when you talk complicated to people, that's how misinformation gets spread. Because people interpret it one way, and then that gets interpreted, let's say, by 20 people, and then those 20 people take their interpretation of that and tell 20 other people. So that's how misinformation and miscommunication has. And right now we need to be informed properly, but also so we understand how to stay safe.
Absolutely. And with such critical time, the plain language needs to be in a language that so many people can understand. It's interesting. I learned recently that people with intellectual disabilities are the largest minority in Canada, which I found actually quite astonishing, but yet we're left out of a lot of things. Here's another interesting topic that I think that should be talked about is how do we feel about some day programs being left open or continuing? Kara, what do you think about that?
I think that's flaunting disaster personally.
Right.
Yes, because you have a whole bunch of people who may be medically vulnerable, and then we have this pandemic going on, and to me it's like we're putting the two together, mixing it up.
That's a really good point. Michael, what do you think about the day programs some of them staying open?
Concerned if they are, because you can't be congregating 20 people, 30 people, whatever's there. Too many people are there, especially in close areas, and not staying what social distancing is. It's not okay. You need to be closing those programs and doing service, like checking in, saying what help do you need at home, what support do you need there, can we go get your groceries for you, can we support you with helping you cook some meals at home, however that may look or be. Can we help you go pay your bills, show you how to pay online if you don't know how? Learning those things is part of what now needs to happen if they're willing to accept that support. It's what do you need now? It's not that thinking of the program. Maybe it's just getting out for a walk, in helping you, supporting you to do that. Simple, small, easy.
I agree. I think staying safe and following the laws, I think that there needs to be creative ways to stay in contact. Some of the creative ways that people stay in contact I found is that, Zoom calls, people, people came over, some people came over to my place and they would sit outside my window and I would talk to them and they would talk to me, and we were at a safe distance because there was a door in front of us. And I found that really helpful to be just together but separate. Michael, have you found a way to social distance but still connect?
Via telephone, but being visually impaired, that can be difficult at times to know where that social distancing space is. So you try, but it's not always successful for somebody who's visually impaired or can't see at all. That makes it more difficult because you don't know where your social distancing is. And then if you don't see something and you're out on a walk with your support worker and next thing you know, you're almost ready to fall because you didn't see a stump, even though your white cane didn't even feel it, then what's going to happen? Well, the support worker's going to have to try and help you. And so visually impaired and can't see, I think, in my opinion, makes it more difficult for social distancing.
That brings up a really good point that people, a lot of people, and Kara, I will get to you in 1 second. The fact that some people need physical lifting for, say, they're transferring in wheelchairs from the bed to the wheel, back to the wheelchair and vice versa. So when is it appropriate to do that on that care, that required care, but still keep a physical distance with masks and gloves and all sorts of stuff like that, washing your hands constantly? So it's a fine balance between providing care for somebody that truly needs it to being safe and keeping them safe. So Kara, what do you think on that topic?
Yeah, I mean, it is a very fine line balance. I mean, I know I've seen dirty looks from people when Michael and I have been out for a walk and stuff, because, I mean, Michael holds my hand because basically I'm his eyes when we're out together, and I don't need him walking into stuff and whatever. I mean, there's one walk we do and there's one bridge we have to go on. We go under, and if he doesn't walk in front of me so I can see him, he just clears that bridge probably, I say, by a good 2 inches. And if he was 2 inches taller, he'd be whacking his head on the bridge every time we go underneath it.
Yeah, that's definitely something, and it's definitely good to have one-on-one support where not one person supporting 3 or 4 people. It's so that really people need to be creative. And I think that the world should know that you two live together. So I think that's really cool that you guys have that perspective of living together.
Yeah, exactly. We do. So I still see the weird look.
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate because it's not that you're doing it to be defiant or anything. It's you're literally supporting to make sure that Michael doesn't get hurt, which is absolutely valid.
Yeah, it was like when Michael and I were at the bank yesterday, and the people were standing outside looked at me and says, "Does he need to go into the bank with you?" And they said, "No, not particularly." And I told him to stand in place, and I meant it just because, I mean, he likes to wander and stuff, and there was a curb in the parking lot up at the mall and stuff. So he, typical Michael, Mr. Smarty Pants, you and I both know Alex, said he started to dance around and stuff, and I'm just like, that's not what I meant.
And so I think this is going to be the last question. How are you guys staying connected to people, Kara?
I'm staying connected to people by talking to everybody on the phone. Zoom calls are when we do SALN and other meetings or conference calls. And that's basically about it. I mean, my dad brings my kid over once in a while so I can stand at the window and kind of wave at him. But
Oh, that's cute. And Michael, what are you doing to stay connected and still being safe?
Part of it is getting to go out with my support worker to help. We'll go for a walk. It might mean we go to Westwood Lake here and do 2 or 3 kilometer walk, as well as trying to stay connected. I make sure we call in. I call people. I make sure I check in with people and making sure they are okay and understand or feel like what's going on. It's doing that kind of work, which I take very much pride in doing, to make sure everybody's okay in doing the support I need to do.
That's great. I know you call me all the time, and I absolutely love it when you call. Some things that I'm doing to stay safe is I'm doing Zoom calls. I'm doing a lot of Facebook Messenger. I'm always on Facebook Messenger with my family. The video conference calls, I think that's really fun. And also, I've heard that people do the visit. When I was in isolation, there was people came over. One person came over every day, or so many people came over every day, and they would sit outside my door, and it was so nice to see people. They would take out my garbage for me. They would bring me food. They would bring me ice caps, which was so fun. And it was so cool because some people go just above and beyond, and they'll do drive-bys of it's kind of like a parade of people that they'll drive by your place, and they'll honk and wave, and then you go into your window and honk and wave at them. And it's just so cool to see the people's creativeness in the time like this. So I guess that's it for us for now. Thank you very much for coming on, Michael, Kara. Great. We will see you guys next time. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. This podcast is brought to you by Unity and the people from the Self Advocates Leadership Network, whose members include Self-Advocates of Semiahmoo, BC People First, selfadvocate.net, empowering self-advocates to take action, Self-Advocates of Nanaimo, and the chair of the Self-Advocate Committee of Inclusion BC.